Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're looking at something pretty fascinating. What if I told you a single brownie sold out in just 5 minutes? It's actually being the seed of this global brand. We're talking estimated maybe $60 million by 2025. And the really wild part, no venture capital, no big marketing push, just, one woman, one kitchen, and this taste that sort of redefined success. We're talking about Ina Garten. I mean, one of the most beloved culinary icons out there. But here's the twist. She's not really chasing fame. And she definitely doesn't run some huge restaurant empire. It all really started, with the brownie. Apparently so decadent, so perfectly made, people actually lined up outside her tiny store in East Hampton. And the price, she priced it way higher than anyone dared, like $2.25, $2.75 each. That's nearly triple what others charge. And still, it sold out. 5 minutes, some reports say, every single weekend. So that one brownie, it sparked what became this global lifestyle brand, 13 best-selling cookbooks, millions of loyal fans, and that remarkable personal net worth. But the really interesting part, for me at least, is how she built all that without ever really shouting for attention. Quietly. So our mission for this deep dive is to get into the psychology, the strategy, maybe the quiet genius behind Ina Garten's rise. How does someone with no formal culinary training manage to outlast some of the loudest names in food? And maybe more importantly, what can you learn from the woman who made simplicity her superpower?
That's right. And if you connect this to the bigger picture, Ina's story is this really compelling counter-narrative, isn't it? To that whole idea that you have to be everywhere, constantly promoting to build something impactful. So yeah, we're going to explore how she redefined value, how she strategically built assets around her, her unique identity, cultivated these enduring habits, and made decisions based on this philosophy of deep alignment, not just chasing trends.
Okay, let's start right there then with that outrageous brownie at Barefoot Contessa, her little specialty food store back in the early 80s in East Hampton. You mentioned the price, $2.75. Triple the competition. It just sounds audacious. Why do you think people went for it? Lining up, clearing, 1,600 brownies sometimes in hours?
It's a great question because Ina wasn't just baking a dessert. That's the key, I think. She was crafting an emotional experience. Sure, the ingredients were premium, the dark chocolate, real vanilla, crisp walnuts, all of that was there. But it was also the presentation, wrapped carefully in parchment paper, set out on these polished trays, offered with what people called a quiet joy. So people weren't just buying a snack, they were buying a feeling.
A feeling, like what?
Like, I deserve this, or I belong here. Maybe even this is what home should taste like.
Yeah.
For customers, often these upper middle class New Yorkers getting away from the city chaos, that feeling was, they described it as priceless.
Okay, so you have this massive demand. The logical move for most businesses would be scale up, right? Franchise. Maybe cut corners a bit on ingredients to boost margins. But Ina, she didn't do any of that. She held back. What does that tell us about her view on value?
That's exactly it. That brownie, it wasn't just food. It was this bold economic statement. She basically flipped the script. Instead of lowering prices to get more people, she raised them. She forced the market to see the intrinsic worth of what she made. It showed this deep belief that real value isn't just about being cheap. It's about quality that's so good, it justifies that premium. And that really became her financial philosophy, didn't it? Build quietly, charge honestly, deliver emotionally. That brownie proved, if you get what people truly crave, you don't compete on price.
You compete on connection.
Exactly, connection.
It's fascinating because most people know Ina Garten now, the culinary icon, but her early career, completely different. Before any famous brownie, she was working at the White House Office of Management and Budget in the 70s, doing nuclear energy policy for Ford and Carter, analyzing uranium enrichment costs.
Yeah, quite the shift, right?
What prompted that pivot from nuclear policy to, fancy groceries?
Well, she said she felt unfulfilled in Washington. Just bored, actually. One day, she's scanning the classifieds, sees an ad for this little specialty food store out in the Hamptons, and apparently, without even visiting it, without doing a ton of research, she just simply wrote a check, left D.C., took the leap.
Wow. Just like that.
Just like that. I mean, it sounds impulsive, maybe a bit reckless on the surface, but she described it as deeply intuitive. She trusted that feeling, that energy it gave her. If something felt right, it was worth pursuing, even if it wasn't the sensible path.
So she buys Barefoot Contessa in 78. It's tiny, 400 square feet, no real reputation.
Right.
But by the mid-80s, it's a destination. People know it.
Right.
But then instead of expanding, maybe opening more stores, she does another really counterintuitive thing. She sells it in 1996. Right at its peak. Why? Why walk away then?
It does seem puzzling, doesn't it? But I think she had this realization. Her biggest asset, It wasn't the physical shop. It was, like she said, her name, her taste, her voice.
Her personal brand.
Exactly. In a world obsessed with scaling up, Ina chose depth. She decided to focus on what was truly unique to her. Selling the store wasn't quitting, it was strategic. It freed her up to leverage her most valuable asset herself.
And that's when phase 2 really kicks off. This is pivotal. She starts writing cookbooks right from her home kitchen. And that first one, the Barefoot Contessa cookbook, it sells over 100,000 copies in its first year. But not through some big marketing campaign or TV blitz.
No, purely word of mouth. Like you said, passed between friends like a secret recipe. It just resonated.
It's organic.
Totally. And over the next couple of decades, she writes 12 more bestsellers, does over 300 TV episodes, building this whole lifestyle empire, but always rooted in consistency, not just flash.
Yeah.
By 2025, that brand is estimated at $60 million total value. And her strategy wasn't really about adding lots of different income streams. It was about deepening one core message. If Ina made it, it will feel like home. In this creator economy that's all about algorithms and constant posting, Ina built a legacy through almost through restraint, through attention scarcity, you could say.
Attention scarcity. How so?
Well, by not being everywhere all the time and not constantly shouting for attention, she made her audience seek her out. It creates this pull, this feeling that engaging with her content is kind of a privilege, not something you're bombarded with.
That makes sense. It feels more special.
Exactly. Designing an experience, not just pushing content.
So to really get Ina Garten's success, it's not just the recipes, it's deeper. It's this rhythm she has, these quiet rituals that define her brand without her ever saying, this is my brand.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the most telling things, it's not something she says, it's what she wears. That uniform, navy blue, button-down, dark jeans, almost always. What's behind that?
It's totally intentional. She's talked about it removing the decision fatigue of choosing clothes, frees up mental energy for creativity, which makes sense. But it's more than just practical. That uniform became this subconscious brand signal. People didn't just remember the food, they remembered her. Her calm presence, that gentle confidence, the vibe of it's okay if it's not perfect. In a culture that rewards noise, constant change. Her predictability became this quiet power, an unspoken promise. I'm reliable.
And that reliability extends to her kitchen.
Right.
And maybe her life.
Yeah.
She tests recipes over and over. She doesn't seem to delegate the crucial stuff. She really knows her audience.
Absolutely. It shows this incredible respect for the trust people place in her. Think about her product line, the Barefoot Contessa pantry stuff. She famously refused to put her name on anything she wouldn't actually serve at home. No generic signature sauce, no mass market frozen meals that don't meet her standard.
Right, you wouldn't see that.
No, because she believes trust is built bit by bit, brick by brick. Every decision, even small ones, adds to that emotional foundation. It's a quiet promise. I stand behind this.
Maybe the best example of this whole success through habit thing goes back to the store again. The brownies. When she thought about raising the price, her team was apparently worried. Customers might push back.
Rumble concern.
But Ina disagreed. She said something like, if the product delivers more than people expect, they'll happily pay more.
And she was right.
They raised the prices, and the brownie sold out even faster. No coupons, no social proof needed. Just that consistent quality and integrity over and over until it became expected, became a memory, like you said.
It sounds simple, maybe even obvious, but in a world chasing viral hits over lasting value, repetition over reinvention is actually pretty radical. Ina isn't trying to constantly reinvent herself. She's reinforcing what her audience already loves about her. That warmth, the clarity, the feeling of being looked after.
Yeah.
That's not just marketing, it's how she lives. And maybe that's her most underrated habit. Living the brand so naturally, you don't even realize it is a brand.
Which brings us to her philosophy. If you ask Ina Garten about her 5-year plan, she has that famous line, right? I don't even have a 5-minute plan. It sounds breezy, almost whimsical. But you're saying there's a deeper philosophy there, that success isn't always about rigid strategy.
Exactly. Sometimes it's about alignment, about tuning into your own internal compass so closely that decisions feel, well, not calculated, just correct.
And that started way back, before the fame.
Oh, yeah. Think back to Washington, D.C., analyzing nuclear budgets. Stable job, respectable life. But she fell off. Dissatisfied. She actually said it was boredom, not some grand passion that pushed her towards food initially. That leap, buying the store site unseen, it wasn't just reckless. It felt deeply intuitive to her. She trusted that energy. If it felt right, it was worth exploring.
And that same intuition seems to guide her now. She turns down offers all the time, right? Things that don't feel like her.
Dozens of them. Product lines she couldn't fully control, TV shows wanting manufactured drama, social media trends demanding constant visibility. She passed.
Now, some might say that's a luxury. That kind of slow, measured approach. Maybe it's not realistic for everyone in today's market. Is there a trade-off?
That's a fair question. The trade-off is probably immediate speed, maybe faster scaling in the short term. But what Ina gains is endurance, authenticity, staying power. Even joining Instagram, she did it late, way after people were telling her she had to. And when she did, it was completely on her terms. Warm, unscripted, just human.
Like that giant Cosmo video during the pandemic.
Exactly. That went viral, but not because she was trying to go viral. It just felt so unabashedly Ina, her making a massive cocktail, because why not? It was just her being her.
Presence.
Yes, her whole philosophy feels rooted in presence. She cooks slowly, writes carefully, apparently answers her own emails. She doesn't chase opportunities. She waits for ones that align with her values. In this whole hustle culture economy, she represents the complete opposite. The idea that stillness can actually be strategic, that slowing down isn't falling behind.
You're just choosing your pace.
Exactly. So you don't burn out, and you build something more resilient in the long run.
Maybe the most powerful example of this decision-making, it's quite personal, when the Barefoot Contessa store got too demanding, it started straining her marriage to Jeffrey. She was working insane hours, 12-hour days, 7 days a week. And she admitted recently in a 2024 interview that she actually asked Jeffrey for a separation at one point.
Wow. Yeah, that puts the next decision in sharp focus, doesn't it?
It does. Because what does she do? She could have kept pushing, scaled up, squeezed every penny out of that successful store.
But she didn't.
She sold it at its peak. Not because it was failing, but because in a way it was succeeding too much, it was costing her too much personally.
She chose her life, chose her relationship, and by doing that, she actually preserved the energy, the well-being to start phase 2, the cookbooks, the TV show, everything that followed.
Which became even bigger.
Way bigger. So that's the core of her model, isn't it? Don't just chase what works financially. Protect what matters personally. And never confuse being busy with actually creating meaning. It's a huge lesson in valuing well-being as a strategic asset itself.
So in Ina Garten's world, power, it doesn't really come from grabbing attention, making noise. It feels like it comes from resonance. Just showing up year after year, same steady tone, never shouting, never vanishing, not bending to every trend.
Absolutely. While the rest of the food world was maybe chasing ratings, stirring up controversy, Ina built something much rarer. She built trust. Think about it. No scandals around her brand, no public feuds, no desperate viral stunts. She's never done a competition show, never launched some flashy restaurant chain.
Right.
And yet millions know her name. Millions buy her books, often without even looking inside first. Millions watch her shows, not just for entertainment, but for reassurance.
Reassurance is a good word for it.
Yeah, and that kind of influence. It's the direct result of just relentless consistency.
All 13 cookbooks bestsellers. Not because she reinvented the wheel each time, but because she refined her approach, kept delivering that core promise.
Right.
Over 300 TV episodes, mostly filmed in the same kitchen in East Hampton, her brand and her personal identity are so intertwined, she doesn't really need to perform.
She just lives, and the brand follows. Yeah. And her social media presence, it follows the same idea. Others track likes, follower counts. Ina seems to measure her influence in depth. When she shares something, a recipe, a little story, it doesn't just get numbers, it creates connection. That Cosmo video, again, it exploded because it felt like this little lifeline, didn't it? A moment of shared, unvarnished joy when things felt bleak.
Yeah, it really did.
That's real influence, not disrupting things, but offering relief. So Ina Garten, she really embodies what you might call quiet power branding. No loud logos, no catchy slogans needed, just this long, steady arc of emotional reliability. She doesn't ride the wave, she sort of is the shoreline. Steady, trusted, always there when people want to come back to something familiar and comforting. What's fascinating, I think, is that in a world yelling for clicks, Ina teaches us something pretty radical. You don't have to be everywhere to be unforgettable. You just have to be real. Consistently real, over and over again.
So Ina Garten, she didn't just build a brand. It feels like she built a feeling, a space people could enter, a certain rhythm. Her empire isn't really measured in product lines or quarterly reports. It's measured in, well, trust, comfort, How many people just feel a bit better hearing her voice or opening her cookbooks?
Exactly. She didn't chase scale, she chose intimacy. She didn't pivot with every market whim. She stayed consistent until, in a way, the market caught up with her values. In a time when influence seems so loud, so fast, so often fleeting, Ina proved something really extraordinary. That quiet can be powerful, stillness can be strategic, and simplicity, when it's done with genuine honesty, can feel like a true form of luxury.
That brownie, the one that sold out in 5 minutes. It was never just about the sugar and chocolate, was it?
No.
It was about a promise. A promise that this thing you're holding, it was made with real care. That the person behind it isn't just selling hype, they're offering home. And when enough people believe that promise, when they feel safe with what you deliver, that's when you move from just having a product to building a legacy.
Her whole story feels like this gentle rebellion, against that pressure that you have to do more to matter more. What she shows, again and again, is that meaning is often in the details. That doing just a few things, but doing them deeply, beautifully, and repeatedly, that can be enough, more than enough, actually, to build something lasting.
So what does this all mean for you listening? If this deep dive resonated, if it made you think about success, but also about how you define what's enough, then maybe it's time to ask, what's your version of the brownie? What's that small, quiet thing you do really well, really intentionally, that could maybe become the center of a life you truly love?
Ina didn't build her legacy by shouting louder. She built it by listening. First, listening to herself, to that internal compass, and then listening to the people who connected with what she quietly stood for. Powerful things, maybe the most powerful things, often start with 5 quiet minutes. And just that simple choice to keep showing up,